Flip a coin. I'm hearing flip a coin, as in take a chance, have some fun with it. You might find yourself at a point of choosing right or left, or taking this exit, or continuing on. There's a point in your journey right now where you're meant to stand taller, where I'm seeing the Fool card. You're meant to take a risk. And this risk is you being loyal to your divine sovereignty, you being loyal to your peace, you being loyal to your divine purpose on this planet. There are others who have chosen to be loyal to their suffering, and you might find yourself disconnecting from those energies. I was getting the other day by a thread. At the same time, I almost like started to sew, like break out the sewing machine, but that didn't feel like it. So you could be like weaving in new timelines, weaving in light codes. You could be doing some sort of quantum mechanics in the ethers, if you want to take it that way. I want to say hanging on by a thread, but that doesn't feel like that. This feels like unraveling something to weave anew. And I was reminded of something my grandfather told me. He was a guerrilla in World War II. And he talked about how he was able to like sew up his pants and none of the other soldiers could. And how he'd do that is he'd unravel his socks and then use that as thread to fix his pantalones. I don't know how you say pants in Tagalog, but for some reason I wanted to say pantalones. I was getting point of time, and as I wrote it, and I had to rewrite this more than once because I put point in time and they're like, no, point of time. Okay, listening. They also gave me the word convergence with this, so this could be a convergence of timelines. Other words that came up that feel connected to point of time are honey trap and he hath risen. So someone could have laid a trap for you. Someone could have been love bombing you in to pull you in only to hurt you. Someone could have tried to, I want to hear say stone you, like kick you while you're down and not realizing you get right back up. And with this idea of timeline jumping and this idea of rising, I think you've risen to the occasion, that you've leveled up. You've outmaneuvered your enemy, so to speak. And I feel like in some cases, I talk about psychic attacks a lot, and it might feel like same but different, but it's starting to feel like it's happening all around, like not just through one character, but a number of characters coming at you at once. And it's like the same energy sourcing through lower vibrational individuals on this planet. It's like somehow they've got a wound that these lower vibrational energies can come in and use these characters as vessels to cause harm, emotionally or otherwise, to you. I'm seeing it like a foot out, like they're trying to trip you on your journey, but you just like outmaneuver it, walk around it. You might fall, but you dust yourself off and get back up, and you're like, oh, I'll watch out next time. Oh, I am seeing this, and I'm seeing it now when I saw it before. You ever go on a hike with someone like on not like a clear path, and you might be like looking down because you gotta like watch the root structure so you don't trip, but the person ahead of you is like moving a stick out of the way, and next thing you know, you got hit with that stick. It's something like that. I've seen that more than once. I'm seeing it now. I mean, not to laugh. You get hit in the head, that sucks. Remember my mom trimming some trees and a stick like hitting her eye. I was like, oh, all right, look rough. But okay, so something about, feeling like there's something tripping you up on your path. I feel like there's new codes of existence that you're implementing, and it's like these lower vibrational frequencies want to stop that, okay? But they can't you know, and they're getting frustrated. Like, this isn't working. And so they're trying other avenues, which is why it might feel like it's hitting you from other sources. All right, here in Dr. Romney, you might want to look at the work of Dr. Romney, who talks about the narcissist. You might even look up the dark triad for a little bit more information or some tools or red flags to look for there. I feel like someone is afraid because you stood up for yourself, I say. But the way that it all came together was divinely timed, divinely guided. I keep getting this sense that you are a blessing, and instead of like honoring that blessing, they like they just what is the word for it? I think you're being, I'm hearing a helicopter, so I feel like you're being lifted out of the situation. I'm seeing the Sun card in the Zombie Tarot. So I feel like you're being like pulled out, medevaced, lifted out of a situation. There's a progression on your path, so there's some sort of portal, could be some rest that you need to take and create some balance. I see the Two of Buttons, especially with this weaving sense of thread, that it's like in and out, in and out. You're becoming more aware. And some of you might feel like things are even more glitchy with like electronics and time and codes presenting themselves to you in a way that they weren't. It's like you can't ignore the light. The light's been turned on, something like this. The divine doesn't want you to burn out, and so they might be creating rest points for you. And your priority is in the ethers, and yet still you're grounding these energies in real time. And you're also substitute. Someone could have tried to substitute you for another. So if this is somebody who is like unfaithful, they thought that like they could just like put someone in to replace you. It just don't work like that. It just don't hit the same. So it just didn't work. So if you do have someone that strayed that you thought was faithful to you, like they're in regret. They only thought about you, or they're in deep reflection about you now because it just don't hit the same. And it's like it was like a double hit of hearing panic. Are you resisting change? I think they don't want you to resist change. They don't want you to resist change. Because you're about to be blessed. Abundance. Sabotage was the word I was looking for. Self-sabotage. You're the blessing that came in and they self-sabotage that shit. They're like, let me just hurt myself some more. Let me just make this harder than it needs to be. Oh my gosh, you are magic. You are magic. You're meant to motivate others. That's why you're on display right now. Someone's ego got in the way. Someone's ego got in the way. And that's why you might find yourself pulled off the path of someone. They would try to get you caught up in their web. Instead, you pulled them in and you helped them to heal. Occasionally, I have gotten this from people, and this did come up recently, is like, I'll be talking to somebody or they'll come to mind and I hear, I hate you. Like, you know, like a telepathic message. And what they were telling me today was that they don't hate you. They hate what you represent. They hate the feeling they have within themselves as you mirror back something within themselves they don't want to take a look at. You force people to face themselves, and that takes courage. I'm hearing pity. You don't pity people. Mr. T, I pity the fool. You're unstoppable. Meanwhile, these others are feeling a bit hopeless. They wanted you to feel hopeless. And it's just like the more that they try to put you down, you get right back up. You're unstoppable. Rocky. Conflict. They thought the conflict would be enough. Strife's been coming up. But it's like they just like lit a flame in your soul. They activated a code through this interaction. You were in a simulation, getting your little man up, beating this world and going on to the next. You're like, and what? 7. Yeah. Someone's tired. This could be like someone's withdrawn. They were overthinking a choice, which is why I like to flip a coin. Watch out for like obsessive compulsive, but I feel like it could be like decision fatigue right now. Partnership. Someone didn't want to make a partnership. They didn't want to make a decision about a partnership. They didn't want to commit, and now they're in heartbreak because they feel your detachment. And while they're in heartbreak from this detachment, you feel a sense of relief. But with the death in reverse, it just doesn't feel like this is quite the end. And maybe that's part of that like holding on by a thread energy. And they feel that lingering. So something could be coming in. Arrogance. They gotta get their ego out the way. You put the ego in check. They didn't. They didn't. That's why they're disappointed. They're just a lost soul. Maybe they try to repress you, not realizing they repress themselves. So if we look at the polarities of power, you might believe that by oppressing an outcast or oppressing a partner, right? Let's just use finances. You the breadwinner, they the one to cook the bread, right? And you might think that's a way to trap someone, but you're also trapping yourself, right? It's something like that. It's something like that. And so it's time for something new. Oh shit, reconciliation. So with the, I think of, I mean, deserve, kiss a frog, something new is coming in, reconciliation, yielding, it's not a stop, it's not a go, it's a flow. You need to go with the flow here, mastering the energies. Someone's getting caught up. With the providing coming out with the Queen of Buttons, I mean, talking about like breadwinner, maybe someone's just caught up in how they think things ought to be. Not understanding that collaboration can come in many forms. And it's like they're fighting themselves because they want to get a control freak here. Missing the opportunity. I hear Biggie or B.I.G. The way players play. That's the way players play. I was hearing somebody wanted their freedom. Someone wanted the freedom. Cake and eat it too kind of energy. Alright. Maybe you had compassion for this person, or someone else is watching all this go down and has compassion for you. Do you think the Magician card usually speaks to like alchemizing, and I think of sword. Maybe something about the way you speak. Magician has all the tools, but I think of the spiders like, you could think, I'm hearing entrapment. Someone tried to weaponize your wounds and get you caught up in your head. Maybe they pretended to be compassionate, or maybe they're compassionate now seeing what they've done and want a fresh new beginning with you, especially we saw reconciliation. Maybe they want a family. Why they want family? You're apathetic. Someone knows they need to choose their words wisely. Someone knows they need to choose their words wisely in order to move this forward. But with the 9 of buttons, I almost picked up a bottle of wine today. I said, oh no, that's not good for me. You're listening. You're listening. Listening rather than being self-destructive. Here and done, so I'm gonna put this deck down. Maybe it's over. Hey, you're a choice point. What if you could do no wrong? What if there is no right or wrong, good or bad? We're just enjoying this journey. I'm seeing Forrest Gump. I'm getting ready to go on the school bus and the feather is floating. Use of tragedy. You can look at it either way. If you're going to create a work of art, mystical rapture. You're telepathic. You're the portal. You're the portal. They could have been feeding off your energy, and it all went to their heads. Maybe when they first met you, they had some sort of reverence for you, but then like they started to get these like levels up. Things started to work out really good for them, and they didn't realize you as, I'm going to call you a divine feminine, as you as a divine feminine, your sacred energy, that's sacred. You give birth energetically to things. And so they pulled from your frequency, from your energy, and that was planting seeds in their world for their success. Maybe things, I'm hearing light codes, things started to spin in their favor after they met you. But they didn't realize it was your energy they were using to make that happen. And so it went to their head. And they stopped thinking about you in the same way because they're so busy chasing these dreams. Their ego is too tied up in these opportunities they've got. And they left you aside. It's like they benched you. They benched the first string. Mystical rapture. But the divine pulled the plug. Divine pulled the plug. It could have been a cord cutting that you did. You might have done a cord cutting ritual. You as a gatekeeper came up. Gatekeeper for time said, nope, can't pass go here. You're not collecting your $200. Cold heart. Cold heart. Maybe they had a cold heart towards you. Maybe they didn't know what love was. They took your kindness as weakness. Oh, I'm hearing facade. Either they threw up a facade or they thought you were facade. I think they thought you were a little like dumb and naive. They didn't know. They didn't know. They didn't know they were in the presence of a fine being. I started to say earth angel, but not all of you who are listening are earth angels. You're a blessing, I tell you that. So they got some karmic debt and they know it. They know it. Whatever energy or awakening they had is that branch in their face right now, yo. They tried to hold on to something that wasn't theirs. And the universe, like you've outgrown a situation. You outgrew your situation, girlfriend. I know that for you. You're a decision point. So are they. They know it. They feel that. They're trying to do a reversal if they were trying to do any spell work. They tried to hold on a little too tight. Their ego got in the way. Because you're God's creature. You ain't their creature. Someone might want a commitment at this point. Maybe someone is motivated for change. Not everyone is capable of obtaining those self-realization, the self-actualization. Think of Maslow's hierarchy needs. Maybe this was a moment in time in which you were a spiritual healer, a spiritual teacher. And now, I was getting this too, like sometimes you're brought into people's lives and then you're directed of like when to go, when to cut, when to, like they tell you when to maneuver, right? Like pay attention. Have you gotten your exit orders? Have you gotten your discharge papers, so to speak, right? If you're on mission, excuse me, if you're on mission, pay attention. Have you got a new assignment? Have you closed out this one? So you're helping people learn through their shadow and turn tragedy into comedy. I'm hearing laugh a bit, laugh a bit. There's been some obstacles. That was part of the plan. You overcame those obstacles and gained a new fresh perspective, and you're probably teaching others to do the same thing, to embrace who exactly they are. I was getting in the dream world that you see the soul for exactly who they are. Thought that they were fooling you the whole time, but you see them. Like stranger. I'm hearing, and so we meet again. And so this could be lifetimes, a course. Maybe it's time to pick up the book, A Course in Miracles. Maybe the courtship. Maybe they put up an obstacle course for you. Maybe there's something that happens through this portal of awakening, between timelines converging, between energies meeting. This could be some sort of soul union or some sort of like tantric awakening that is like activating new frequencies on the planet through intimate connections. Perfect strangers. And so we meet again. What's in his hand? Is that a light bulb? Maybe they're always seeking each other out lifetime after lifetime. Or maybe this is like, I'm going back to, you know, maybe look at some early psychology theory. We're always going back looking for our mother or father, and as in the process of finding these characters in your life, you're also meant to heal those wounds. And so somebody could have been projecting wounds of the past onto you that weren't yours. Maybe someone wanted you to mother them, and you're like, no, time to wean you. Maybe someone was trying to hurt you the way that they were hurt in the past. And it's time for some boundaries. And you set those boundaries with elegance. And it's time to say, oh, like, it's time to move on. Time to move on in some way. Move on from this pattern. Maybe someone else is balancing their sense of self with the lunar masculine and the sky father here, right? The way you broke things down, the way you put it down. Someone got a rude awakening. They're looking at themselves. You know, since I mentioned the divine feminine and these coming up. All right? Be who you want to be. That's what I'm hearing. Be who you want to be. All right? Take all this lightly. Please only take what resonates. Sending you lights of light and love. Remember, you are not someone's possession. You are not a toy. I'm hearing Jasmine from Aladdin. I am not a prize to be won. Desperate calls come for desperate measures. That's when he uses the snake thing to like hypnotize her father, and then she has to marry the fuckwad. Something like that. I don't know. I hope this helps. Sending you lots of light and love.